So last episode, we created messages that are rendered on our page whenever we type something in. If I write hi, it renders it like this. So now we actually want to start sending these messages between different users on our website. To get started with that, you need to install nodeJS. So nodeJS is just a different variant of JavaScript, but instead of running it on our website, we want to run it as a server. I recommend this, the version recommended for all users. So just follow the instruction and install it. Once it is installed, if you're using VS Code, you can enter Control or Command if you're on Mac, and the squiggly line, and that will open the terminal. In the terminal, we want to actually create a Node.js project. And the way we do that is by writing npm init. So now it asks me what the package name or the project name is. Chat is good enough for now. The version will be 1.0.0. The description, I'll leave it blank. Entry point. Now this is important. Index.js is the recommended entry point. My current document is named index.html. Although both of them are called the index, the extension is different. A .js extension is a JavaScript file, and a .html extension is a HTML document, or also file. So here for this new document, I'm going to call it app.js. The test command will be blank, git repository, nothing. You can fill these in, but they don't matter too much. The default values are typically good enough. Is this okay? Yes, it's okay. Now, if you go back to your Explorer tab, you will see that a new item has appeared. It's the package.json. It contains all the information that you just entered or skipped through like I did. This isn't too important for us, but we need this to exist in order for us to run our Node.js code. So let's actually create our Node.js server page. App.js is what I called it. It will be whatever your main script is called here. So you can change it here, or you just title whatever is written in here. That's what you call your document. To test this out, I'm just going to console.log hello world and save it. Okay. So let me actually test this. The way we test this is by writing node dot. And as you can see in the terminal, it said hello world. So it ran our script successfully. Now what we need to set up is an Express server. There are different types of servers, but the one I'll be using. Now we need to download a few packages so we can actually set up our server and allow our website to communicate with other users. So the first thing we need to install is Express. The way you install packages is by writing npm, which stands for Node Package Manager, install, and then the name of your package. So the first one will be Express. It will look something like this. Another package we need to install is called HTTP. You can probably recognize that from networking. And lastly, we need to install socket.io. npm install socket. I cannot spell socket.io. So now everything's installed. What you'll also notice is that now you have a folder called node modules, and this has a lot of folders. Don't mind this. This is just Node installing all the required documents and pages and scripts in order for your project to work. Another thing that will appear is your package lock. This just contains all of the packages that are needed to run your project. Okay, so now let's go back to app.js and use these packages that we just downloaded. I'm going to create var express. This will be my instance of the Express package. And I will reference it by writing require express. So as you can imagine, what this simply says is that I want to create a new element called Express, and it comes from the package that is called Express. I can name this variable whatever I want, but for simplicity, I'm just naming it the package name. And I will do the same for HTTP. Require HTTP. Socket.io will look a bit differently. I'm going to write var and these curly brackets. This is object notation. You don't need to worry too much about how this works. You just need to know that instead of referencing the package itself, we're just going to reference a part of a package because we don't need the whole thing. We just need a single part of it. So we're going to take the server from it, and this is require socket.io. Don't forget these curly brackets. So now let's create our server. We need to create an instance of an Express server. So I'm going to write var app equals Express. And I need these parentheses. So this will sort of make the package initialize all the needed stuff so that our app is now our server. It's made very simple for us as the programmer so that we don't have to mess with the complicated bits and we can just focus on the logic of our website. And then there's another website that I need to create from HTTP. I'm going to call the server. And it's going to be http.create server. And it's going to be, I'm going to pass the app. So we have our app and we pass it to the server. The last thing we need to initialize is IO. New server. And the server element is actually different from this lowercase server element. It comes from our socket.io. So from each package, we now have a variable initialized. Let's actually do something when a user connects to our server. Let's do app.get. And if you notice something about websites, for example, this nodeJS website, you'll notice that there's a domain, but then it's followed by slashes. And these slashes are very similar to file and folder directories on your computer. In fact, if we go to our original website that we made, this HTML, and we run it over here, you'll notice that this is C users Vince desktop chatter index.html. This is just a directory. All websites are just directories on the internet. So knowing this, what we basically want to do is if a user requests the base directory of our website, we'll send them whatever information is necessary when they enter the website. And the base directory is just a slash. So a slash, and then we want to have a function. Functions and parameters are something completely separate. In JavaScript, if you haven't never coded JavaScript or any other programming language, it might seem a bit strange. So I recommend covering the basics of JavaScript to fully understand this. But for now, just know that we, in our app.get, when a user requests the base directory, we call this function. And this function will take care of all the data and all the sending and receiving that is necessary for our server and website to work. So in this function, we're going to pass two parameters, the request and the response. I need to interject here a little bit. This is sort of how this whole process works. You have your computer and you have your server. Now, when we're testing the program, they're both the same machine, but let's imagine that they're two different machines. The client or the laptop sends a request to the server. It asks for a website or it maybe wants to download a new file. Then the server processes the request and sends back a result. The result can be a confirmation like success, or it can be a failure like 404, not found, or it can be the actual file or website that the user requested. The request and the response. Curly brackets, as always. And we're just going to do response.send connected successfully. Now, one last thing that I forgot to do is to create a port. Now, ports are necessary alongside IP addresses or domains. Ports are used for different types of communication. One port might be used for a video game server. Another port could be used for website or a different server or a file server, so on. So that there isn't clashes, we choose a specific port that we allocate all our communication to. So the port that I chose is 80. That is the default port for the internet. Lastly, we want to be listening for any traffic, anyone who connects on our server. So we're going to do server.listen port. That's the port we want to listen to. And we're just going to pass a function. I'm just going to console.log listening for traffic. Okay, so this is the shell script that is needed for a basic website. We're done. Now let's just run it and test it. I'm going to write node dot in the terminal here below. It says we're listening for traffic. How do I know if something gets sent when a user connects? Well, let's create a new tab here and let's go to localhost. The way localhost works it's basically the website that is on your computer if there is one. So this is the same as putting a slash here. It just goes to the same base directory. And our server tells us back connected successfully, which is exactly what we told it to send here. Great, that works. So now instead of writing connected successfully, I want to send this index.html file. That is the script that we asked it to send. So let's do that. Instead of res.send, I'm going to do res.sendFile. Now, paths are a little bit dirty here because we need to tell us the base path of this project. So you need to do dir name like this, directory name. This is sort of something that is predefined by the project. You don't need to worry about this variable. But to it, we're going to add with a plus sign the name of our document that we're trying to send, index.html. Don't forget the slash here. So now if I rerun my server, by the way, you can close anything with Control-C. Even if you're on Mac, Control-C is what closes node projects. And let me rerun it with node dot. And if I reload localhost, I have my website. But instead of accessing it through, files, I actually access it like this. Now, let's pretend for a moment that the entire internet is housed on my local home network, or that is the entire extent of the internet is just my local home network. So I can go to my computer's IP address, which is this, and it will open my website. So basically on my private home internet, or intranet, there's the website. And in fact, the way private networks work is that anyone with a computer that is connected to my Wi-Fi, if they go to Chrome and they enter this IP address, they will see Chatter. They will see this website. So now it works. Any message that I enter gets sent to the page. The only problem is now if I open it in a new tab, okay, this is incognito, but that doesn't matter. I don't see the messages being sent. Hello. So even though both of these are on the same website, the messages are not visible to each other. So, okay, now we created a server. Next time, we're going to focus on actually sending messages between instances of our website.